Good morning, everybody. We're cold, but we're alive. Let me just check my pulse. Hang on. Yeah, I'm alive. I'm here. Sure. Well, June is definitely here to bite, and June is not messing around when it comes to temperatures. And I'm looking at it right now. What is the temperature where you are? Sia is in the studio. Leigh-Ann is in Johannesburg. I'm in Pretoria. What are we looking at? Let's have a look here. I'm at 6 degrees according to this. 6 degrees. What are you looking at? Huh? Come on. Let's see who's coldest this morning.
I'll be the same. I'll be the same as Sia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm on 6 degrees.
Oh my God. All right. We're all not good.
Why did we even bother? Because now having that in your brain.
Now it makes you colder. We're not in South Africa. We're not really geared for winter. We've spoken about this before, but everywhere else in the world, like winter's important because people fucking die outside. It's so cold, right? Here, it never really gets that freezing. And I know we're sitting complaining now about 6 degrees, but we don't get like icy, like -10s and -20s like they do in other countries. They have to build their houses to handle that. And if your house or your flat or your apartment or your room, whatever it is not geared to winter, you're in big shit.
Yeah. I mean, our houses definitely have, they're not the most eco-friendly, put it that way.
Definitely not.
No.
Definitely.
What makes things a little trickier here in studio is that we have to keep the equipment cool. So even though I come in and I switch the aircon off, there's still that
that biting
weekend aircon chill.
Oh, you're making it worse.
I know. I also instinctively was pulling at my top and trying to make it warmer.
So speaking of the weekend, any fun happen? Anybody do anything exciting or interesting, or were you mostly just trying to stay warm?
I had my, I'm a cousinty to my cousin's child, and it was his first birthday. And then combined with the in-law side of the family who have 1-year-old twins as well. So it was basically a first birthday party for 3 1-year-olds. And we went to a bowling club and we were outside in the sun. It was packed with people and their dogs and no masks and just relaxing. And these are very serious bowlers. It was so good watching them. I mean, for a sport that mainly older people take part in, they have to communicate from a terribly long distance.
Yeah. I mean,
so you get it.
They don't know what they're saying half the time. Like, is it my turn yet, Cecil? No, Harold, it's not your turn yet. It'll be your turn.
They're all shouting from the sidelines, but you can see that the other side can't hear. But they don't care. They're just having fun. They're all in the same boat, all wearing their matching shirts. It was such a lovely day for, especially given during this time. It was like just letting loose and relaxing. I mean, there was even a kid from another table. When I had my nephew on a swing, I said, "Jack, we're going to sing happy birthday to you today." And the strange kid from the other table said, well, not strange, stranger, said, "Why?" So I said, "Because it's Jack's birthday today." He said, "Oh, happy birthday, Jack," and promptly invited himself to the party for the entire afternoon.
Yeah, I like that about
why I hate kids. No,
I like it. What?
He was first in.
I think it's so sweet. Like kids they make friends. They're much better.
It's how it's supposed to be.
No, they're so forward and presumptuous and just leave me alone.
No, I love it. Yesterday I woke up and I was buggering around in the house and like moving things and tidying and like trying to find something to eat. And then my nephew arrived and, he just walks into my house because they don't live far from me. And he's 5, 6 now. He just walks in. The older brother doesn't, but the younger one, he doesn't give a shit. He's like completely on his own mission. But he walks in with two of his friends who I've never met in my life before. And he's like, oh, yeah, this is my uncle's house. And then he just walks around, and these other two friends of his walk around. And I'm like, can I get you guys anything? Is there something I can do for you?
Can I take your coat?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm surprised they didn't go and change the TV to a channel that they wanted to watch, and like they do whatever they want. Kids are just. I love it about them. By the way, Leigh-Ann, when you were at the bowling club, did you find any potential husbands? It's
no. So the bowling club that I was at is very much separated into two areas. The one is for families and dogs and children and grands and grandparents. And then, while I was having a smoke break with my cousin, we noticed this stretch tent. And I said, what's going on there? She said, I think that's where the adults go.
Oh.
And I said to her, should we go? Because we were both single. And we looked at each other and we looked at how far it was to walk, and we went, nah.
Oh my God.
But there was definitely
You've given up.
Well, we were just, it was just too much. But yeah, there was a bar there and all sorts of things. So I think there was definitely an adult section.
Now, Leigh-Ann, your nephew is now officially 1, which means in a couple of months he's going to be talking and whatnot. Are you super, super certain about this Kazanti title? Because once he starts speaking, it's going to stick.
No, so everyone refers to me as Auntie Lee. So it'll be Auntie Lee. Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what? The only reason why I say I'm a Kazanti is because my cousin has only one sibling, her sister, who was so excited to become an aunt. And you can't take that title away from her.
No,
so
sure.
That's why there was a Kazanti. It was for the adults, really.
He's a proper lockdown baby. I mean, he was born during lockdown last year, and it's been a whole year already. And there's something interesting here Tracy mentions. She says, I've noticed that the kids who were born in lockdown are a little petrified when there are too many people around.
Absolutely. And even little Jack had a moment where it was just too much. And, we took him away to go and look at the trees and the plants just to refocus. Definitely, 100%. And I was thinking how kids don't think that people walking around with masks on is strange.
Right.
It's completely normal for them. They think that spraying your hands before you go into places is a normal thing.
Yeah, it's horrible. Those poor children. I kind of, we assume that everybody's going to know what it was like before, and that we'll be back to normal, soon. But for those kids, they don't know anything other than
it'll be the abnormal. It'll be like, why aren't we wearing masks? Mustn't I wash my hands?
Well, Mbulelo is continuing his COVID diaries. I want to play you one or two of those quickly. It's getting more and more hilarious. He's complaining from the luxury of a middle class dwelling in Sandton, and he's making everybody laugh. So here he is. Listen.
I've got COVID, so I'm obviously better than everybody else. But I'm also doing fake middle class suffering. I'm actually fine. Everything's good. The underfloor heating's fine. But what's not fine is the fact that Woolworths delivery is 45 minutes late, which I ordered online. And you have to ask yourself, do Woolworths care that I have COVID, and are we all in it together?
Yeah, that's a very good point. And then he brought this one up. But he's obviously fine, and everybody else is supposedly getting out of there. And when I say everybody else, I mean all the Cliff Central people, because we caught, Cliff Central contagion COVID. I think it started last Tuesday, and the Tuesday before.
Yeah.
So we've kind of been avoiding each other, and I did see Sia on Monday when we went to ENCA, and he and I seem to have completely stepped. I don't know how we managed not to get it. I didn't really have contact with anyone.
Correction. After shooting at ENCA, you didn't just see me, you then barged in and scared the bejesus out of me during the week.
Yeah, I think it was Thursday morning.
You did what we call in the hood as a pop-up. You gotta pop up on your enemy when they least expect it.
Sia was sitting there doing work, and I like knocked on the window, and he thought, "Oh God, the murderer's here!" And he like looked up, and I could see how frightened I was of him. Sorry, Sia.
But that's it. I'm a goner now. But yes,
everybody else gets back to work tomorrow or Wednesday. When is it?
Yeah, sort of those 2 next days, because the lines are a little blurred with when this person's 10 days started and when this person started getting ill, and so we don't Gareth, we're almost at the finish line. Rather not tempt fate and ruin things, then we have to start the cycle all over again.
Now, if you've had it, that's as good as having a vaccination, so we're immune.
What do you
mean?
Okay, no.
You know what the worst part about being middle class and having COVID is that I don't feel like enough people know I've got COVID. So I need people to know that my life can also be hard. And I know these groceries look like they're only like 5 meters away from my house, where they got dropped off by an online delivery person. But by COVID meters, it's a mile away.
He'll be on the show tomorrow. We'll hear from him.
Oh, good.
Did he actually end up showing any symptoms? Because he's a good, healthy chap.
No, he's fine. He's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And so is everyone else. I mean, the only one who got it pretty bad was Jane, and she seems to be pulling through. So I'm sure that we'll all be back and up and running in no time. Well, hopefully.
Yeah, I spoke to her a couple of days ago, and I don't know what the regulation is when you know you're positive and when you can go outside, but she said she was going so crazy being indoors that she woke up at the crack of dawn just so that there aren't any people around, just to go outside and take a walk. She did say she put a mask on and whatnot, but she just wanted to be outside because other than that, she's stuck indoors alone with 2 kids. So that's enough to just drive you up the wall. And her man is currently away, so it's just been her and her kids, and no one able to help her. So she needed, just to go walk outside for a little while.
Imagine how grumpy she is. I mean, Jane is like grumpy most of the time. So you imagine how furious she is now that she's been isolated at home. She must be
Shane, what I noticed was she was clinging onto our phone call. I said goodbye probably 3 or 4 times, and I think for her it was like, it's an adult human being, not these kids running around, because the conversation started dwindling down to nothingness. Like, yeah, so what do you think about DSTV channel 15? And I'm like, Jane, I don't care now. Can we wrap this up?
Well, I mean, I know that this is really hard for everybody. We're having the toughest time of our lives. But 77 years ago, yesterday was D-Day, where, some of our grandparents and some people's great-grandparents went and fought actual Nazis and landed in the icy waters of the Atlantic and started to be mowed down by German machine gun fire and still managed to take the beachheads at Normandy. And I think that's something worth celebrating. 77 years ago, some real arduous difficulty. And the last time I think humanity was tested at that level. I mean, that generation they were stronger than even the strongest person in our generation thinks they are. Every one of them was stronger than anyone now. And I put something up about that yesterday because it just, it made me think. It made me think that it's not that long ago, first of all, because how many years was it? Hang on, I just want to see. Sorry, I just want to check here. I think our studio connection might have timed out. Hang on, we've got a problem here. Hello, I'm just checking. We've got a problem. Hello.
Technical difficulties?
No, I don't know what's happened.
Yeah, message is saying the app has crashed.
Sorry, sorting it out. Looks like we're back and we're connected.
Okay.
All right, sorry. And we're back. You see, that's the kind of thing that happens, and you have to, if you're not monitoring it all the time, you don't even notice. So we're back on. I was just saying that 77 years ago doesn't seem like that long ago. That's still in living memory for some people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's amazing how you could take things for granted 77 years peace, the fact that we aren't all having to go to war. All of these things are fairly big deals, but people don't think about them. And when I see, the kind of stupid shit that we are sharing on social media, it makes me want to remind myself and other people of the priorities and kind of what really is important, and how those things that happened that long ago, and for many people it isn't that long ago, but those things are huge compared to this little bump in the road that we've gone through with COVID, which really is not a big deal. And it makes people just seem like we've become so weak. We've become so pathetic. We've become so whittled down in terms of courage, bravery, strength, fortitude, the ability to actually get together and really fight something that's worth fighting. Here we are like, the president of Nigeria has banned Twitter. And we've got to talk about that too, because I want to know what you think of it. Obviously, I think it's great because I fucking hate Twitter. And I think Nigeria will be a much happier place without Twitter. So they basically censored the president of Nigeria. He tweeted something, and it was fairly innocuous. It wasn't even like a big deal. And Twitter, with their rules, their community guidelines, they were obviously, extending themselves beyond. And they thought, well, what's the president of Nigeria going to do? Well, he just basically shut Twitter down. He said there will be no Twitter. We're suspending them indefinitely in Nigeria. What do you think of that?
So by it being suspended indefinitely, so it does mean that it could still come back. And if it does, are all those millions of accounts going to just pop back up, or are they gone? No, people take their following seriously.
The accounts are still there, but people can't access Twitter from Nigeria.
Okay.
So I think in this country, if we didn't have Twitter, we'd probably be a lot better off. I don't think South Africa's the things that get discussed and the things that come up on Twitter are not things that are helping to drive the country forward. It used to be very much about people sharing ideas and all of that. Now it's just a place where people go to bitch and moan. And if you think about the last 20 or 30 things that have become big subjects in South Africa for discussion that happened on Twitter, none of them have made the country better. There may be one or two of those fundraising efforts which have been really good, to help someone in need or whatever. But those things are few and far between, and mostly it's just, campaigns of ugly cancellation and nastiness.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
I wonder if it would be better if South Africa did the same thing.
Well, I think we don't like being controlled, so there's a problem there. But I did pick up something as I get more and more into TikTok, and I'm following the right accounts, and the algorithms have learned what I'm looking for, and I'm finding really good, helpful stuff. I came across one TikTok by a professor in his 60s who said, I've been tweeting for so long, and I came onto TikTok just to try it, and I cannot understand. All the intelligence in me cannot work out why it's such a good place if you look at it compared to Twitter. And for Facebook and Instagram, it's the same. It's quite harsh and quite judgmental.
Well,
but here, if you get a really
time, if you wait just long enough, you'll see that eventually the shitheads that are on Twitter will come to TikTok, and then they'll ruin that as well.
Oh Lord,
that's what's going to happen. Cool. It's just a question of those shit people who are now currently, that's their main place of residence online. That's where they spend most of their time, these shit people, on Twitter. Now, as soon as they realize like there's TikTok, and they've already started to go to Instagram and start to police other people's language and police other people's behavior and, bring all their ugliness there. And it won't be long before they come to TikTok too. So enjoy it, Leigh-Ann. You're in the halcyon days of TikTok right now. Don't you agree? What do you think?
I'm not opposing, nor am I trying to come up with a solution here. But from my observation, it's not platform specific. It's not necessarily all resting on Jack Dorsey's shoulders. But this is all a reflection of our society. So Twitter now might not be the popular thing because of what it brings out of us. But the next platform will come about, and it's just about our state in society. And this is actually all holding up a mirror to ourselves. So we are the screwed up ones. We could go back to MySpace and we could screw that all up again. So we need to fix ourselves first before we go anywhere else or do anything else.
Well, look, I mean, I'm not saying Nigeria is some kind of virtuous country where all the good people are and the politicians make the right decisions. This guy's obviously just pissed off because his ego has been wounded. That how dare they switch him?
Yeah, sorry. What I marvel at is, and there's a reason why a term such as megalomania exists, because megalomania is a thing. But how do you? What a massive act of power to sit and go, today Twitter's going off. How do you even begin that? Is there one button? Do you think the union buildings in South Africa would be able to make that happen? How do you even begin to do that?
Well, I think that there are a couple of things that can happen. I mean, there are servers that are hosted in South Africa and they can switch it off. I mean, there's a way around it. And just because Twitter's off in Nigeria doesn't mean everybody in Nigeria can't tweet. There are still some people who will find roundabouts, and they'll probably find more of them as we go on. But I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, because for most people, if something isn't available, it isn't available. So they switch off, all those URLs, and then basically you can't access it. And most people aren't going to know how to get around that. So they're just going to go, okay, well, Twitter's off. I'll find something else to.
We'll go into something else. Exactly that.
I didn't know whether to believe this, but I saw some reports bubbling under, alluding to the fact that now Nigerian authorities are looking for people who could still be tweeting and will prosecute them. And I thought, no. That sounds a little far off.
Yeah, as Winsterian Pikachu says, with a VPN, you can get around it. You can bypass the ban, which is cool. You see, this is the point with governments, is they always think they're smart, right? But they're so far behind. Like, you see, just last week we spoke to Sean Sanders about tax and cryptocurrencies. And he was saying, well, that they're still trying to figure out exactly how they're going to tax this, what actually constitutes a tax event, and blah blah blah, and the government trying to get their minds around how to do these things, because for them that's about money. But we'll have to see. I mean, the South African government, they've tried with the SABC, to make that they wanted us to pay a license fee to the SABC, which would also be paid even if you only have Netflix or Amazon Prime, just so we could keep them alive. And obviously people are just not going to do it. I mean, no one here no one except Leigh-Ann Mole is paying e-tolls, for example.
And I've still got my TV license debit order annually.
You do?
Wow.
So you pay that as well?
I've just remembered, though, to be fair, that now that you brought it up, I mean, how often do you think about it? But I must actually check. I don't even know when it is.
Well, why are you checking? Canton?
Yeah.
I'm very bad at these sort of admin things, guys.
Under a gantry at any.
What's that say?
I can go under a gantry willy-nilly, and it doesn't. I'm so not even blasé about it. Doesn't even make an impact on me anymore. But it wasn't up until a few weeks ago when I was driving a rented car, and that had an e-toll thingy, and it would beep every time I went under those. And I thought, oh, actually, these things are still around. And they'd like for all of us to still be paying for them. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No. There are people who do, and there are people who have those e-tags on, and then they actually go beep every time they go under them. I drove a rental car for a while, and that was what was happening. So whether or not, and I don't think they ever sent me a bill, because they obviously just realized I wasn't going to pay it anyway. So Zunaid makes an interesting point before we move on to the headlines. Zunaid says, in spite of all the shitheads on Twitter, I have to give a shout out to Joburg Water and the custodians of that account. It is the easiest way to get updates and to escalate issues. So how's the water situation where you are, Leigh-Ann?
Much improved. I'm waiting with bated breath to see what the excuse might be this morning and if the pressure drops. But I had a good long hot shower on the weekend, which was just amazing. I really realized what I'd been missing out on.
Well, because up to that shower, you've been magazempomping. You've
a bit of trickle, or going to someone else's house every now and then.
Or someone spotted you in the street just washing like under your armpits at the tap. Was that you?
Yeah, I'd finished washing. I was now washing my bra and panties. With Omo powder.
Right, good. Yeah, we had Ben on again last week, which was nice. A lot of people have been sending us messages about that. So he will be joining us on Fridays. So that's quite cool. A couple of things before we get to the headlines. Winsterian Pikachu's back to say, I'm a bit past due on my TV license. I believe it is now 14 years. But to be fair, I don't watch TV. But you know what is funny is that they get more and more aggressive about the TV license payments because they hand it over to different companies who then chase the money, right? And they get more and more aggressive, and they get more and more like rude. And then you've got to play with them. You got to like, I'm going to pay. I promise I've got the money. I'll do it next week. And then they go, oh, great, because most people just go, oh, fuck you, I'm not going to pay. So you must string them along for as long as you can. Keep them busy for months and months. It takes a huge amount of effort, but it's really worthwhile. You'll entertain yourself and your family. You could put them on the speakerphone, have everybody join in. Oh, I've got 2 rand. How much is it again? Here's 25 cents. You say, oh, well, we managed to raise 7 rand 50, but I don't know if it's enough. Really fucking
shame, Gareth. But I mean, think about it. None of the people who work at these debt collection companies wake up thinking, I want to be a debt collector. I want to go and chase people down for money and do one of the worst jobs in the world. That's not their fault. They're just doing their job. Shame, man. Shame on you.
But don't take it out on them. I mean, they're going to be on the phone to you anyway. So you may as well make it entertaining for them. But remember that your enemy here is the SABC. So you must mess with them. You have to. In Italy, the TV license has been incorporated into the water and lights bill, so you can't get away from it. Oh, don't give them that idea.
No,
Steph said.
that's annoying.
Yeah, please. Yeah. And then Theron's Cameron is saying, very, very embarrassing. We have only 25 likes so far this morning. So please, everybody, you need to. Leigh-Ann, please do it for us. 1, 2, 3, and go.
Welcome back to our channel. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notifications button so that you don't miss out on any of my content. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, very good. That was excellent. Right,
yeah, I still don't get this blocking the camera hand movement thing. It's lost on me.
It's what some of the YouTubers do.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Let's roll with it then.
All right, here are some headlines for you this morning. First from ENCA. Iqbal Sharma is back in court. Do you remember who Iqbal Sharma is? It's one of the Gupta associates. Sharma and the former Free State Agriculture and Rural Development head, Peter Tabete, are returning to the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court on Monday. They're among the 15 accused who face charges relating to the defrauding of the Free State Agriculture Department. A 25 million rand tender was irregularly awarded to a company owned and controlled by Sharma, and the accused appeared briefly in court on Thursday after their arrest a day before. They've been in custody since their arrest. So at least the wheels of justice are turning, even if they're turning slowly. And, I was thinking about people like Anuj Singh, who was there to preside over the collapse of Eskom, and who was involved in all the Gupta's coal deals and mining deals and, all the things that basically have caused all the shit when it comes to electricity supply and have been causing shit for years. And I thought that guy's probably living in a very comfortable house. He's probably in a neighborhood where they don't get load shedding, because he would have known and he would have set it up so that they never get load shedding. And I wonder if he's paying any price yet. I wonder where Anuj Singh is. If anybody knows, do his kids go to the local school? Does he shop at the shops that you go to? And how is it that he is just chilling, having a great time? How is it that he, goes home and has warm water to shower and bath in, that he has electricity to switch on his kettle. Like I want to know how that guy's life is, because he's really one of the people who was at the center of all of that. So I hope they come after him at some point. And
I've been way too obsessed with this Iqbal story over the weekend because of, man, what is it? The prosecuting
NPA.
NPA. There we go. I read the NPA report and I thought it was so petty the way they cited top billing in it. You know, Iqbal
really?
and his wife, Tarina Patel, once invited top billing to their house.
Oh, nice.
And the house has been seized. And so in the report, they say, well, due to, I'm paraphrasing here, but it sounded like, well, due to their lavish segment on top billing as they showed off their house. And they made note of the fact that Tarina changed outfits 3 times.
Oh my word.
Changed her jewelry as well during the segment. All of that has been seized. And I thought, NPA, you didn't have to go that.
I love it. I love that. I think people used to pay top billing to be on there, so they would have paid for that. It's not because they're so interesting and people wanted to know about their lives. They're boring people. Anyway, the rand has entered the week on a strong footing against the dollar. Local currency is at its highest level since February 2019 at just above 13 Rand 40 to the US dollar. That's really good. These gains came late on Friday when the dollar weakened after a worse than expected jobs report was released. The rand has been making huge strides in recent months thanks largely to higher prices for our mining commodities. A stronger rand eases inflation and makes it more affordable for importers. So we'll keep an eye on that story as it develops. Then just quickly, Andrew Mlangeni, remember June, and of course it's Youth Month. President Kgalema Motlanthe, former President Kgalema Motlanthe, was speaking at the wreath-laying ceremony for Mlangeni on Sunday morning on what would have been his 96th birthday. And there are obviously commemorations around that too. But interesting that Kgalema Motlanthe was there. He's one of those people who he makes very few appearances and says very little, but when he does, it's usually for the right reasons. And then David Dushman, who is the last surviving Auschwitz liberator, died at the age of 98. He was a Red Army soldier who later became an international fencer. He died on Saturday, and the Olympic Committee statement, which was released on Sunday. And he was the last soldier who took part in the liberation of a Nazi death camp, and he died at the age of 98. We were just talking about anniversaries. And 77th anniversary.
How's that for timing? Sure.
Yeah, 77th anniversary of the landings of Normandy, which was yesterday, and now the last soldier to liberate a concentration camp. Those people were really a different generation and a better generation than ours in every which way. I don't know. You could take any set of characteristics, and I'll guarantee you'll find them to have been a whole lot tougher, a whole lot more forthright and daring and courageous and strong. And U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris's plane was forced to land after takeoff on Sunday due to a technical problem on her way to Guatemala for her first international trip. I'm good. How does she speak, Sia? How would she say, I'm good?
I'm good. This is an emergency, Joe. We're going to go down in this plane if you're on careful.
And then she goes, because she has that horrible laugh too. Anyway.
Oh my God, we're going to go down in this plane.
She sounds like it's a whiny, oh God, she's irritating. Anyway,
Air Force 2 is gonna force us down.
The crew noticed the landing gear was not storing as it should, which could lead to further mechanical issues. While there was no immediate safety issue, out of an abundance of caution, they returned to Air Force Base Andrews. A journalist on board reported an unusual noise from the landing gear when the plane known as Air Force 2 took off, but that the landing was completely normal. So Kamala Harris back on the ground, her first international trip cancelled.
Shame. What a way to start.
Yeah, if this is an omen. Whoops.
This Biden administration's doing great. As I mentioned just now, the rand is looking good only because the dollar's looking crap. And, of course, the American economy, there's this brilliant picture, I think I shared it over the weekend, of like a big pile of wood, and it says, what you could have got for $1,000 in terms of timber and lumber. Back during the Trump administration, Trump standing behind it with his arms folded, looking very full of himself. And then they show what you can buy with the same amount of money now in terms of timber and lumber. And there's Joe like sitting down on the ground looking very depressed, and it's small, it's a small pile. So that's kind of what Americans are looking at now, going, I thought we were voting for a return to normal. I wonder how that's going. Clearly not as well as they thought. Now, Mondays mean that we get to spend some time with Dr. Hanan Bushkin. And this morning is no different. We're going to speak to him today. It is, and we've decided to give this a name. It's going to be okay, because people need to know that this is as I said earlier, a bump in the road, and we'll survive. Humanity's been through much tougher stuff than this. How are you doing this morning, though? We will check on your mental health and well-being by speaking to Dr. Hanan Bushkin, who is a renowned psychologist and the head of the Anxiety and Trauma Clinic in Johannesburg. Dr. Hanan, how are you?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Good. We get so much good feedback when you're on. I think people like the idea that on a Monday morning we all get to come and lie down on your couch in your office and have our mental
free
health
therapy. It's free therapy.
Yeah, right. It's like a dipstick test for all of us to check that we're okay. So there's so much cool stuff going on. Can I just go straight to an email and we address this, because I think this is something which you could probably help us out with. It's from Anonymous. Hi, Gareth. Thank you for bringing this awesome new segment to the show. After listening to Dr. Hanan this past Monday, I reevaluated my own personal journey, and I feel far more positive about everything. I do, however, have a question. As I know we're all going through our own personal stuff on a day-to-day basis, I've noticed some very self-destructive behavior in a close family member. What should one do if you notice signs of a major eating disorder in a close friend or family member? I've had the personal discussion with this person regarding their behavior, and I've tried to find out, and apparently they say it's been going on for years. They mentioned they've wanted help, but they have no idea where to go from here. I don't want to end up pushing this person away by sending a list of therapists or trying to hold them to account. Thank you again for the segment. I love the show and listen religiously. Please tell Dr. Hanan I'd love his opinion on this, and I would like to remain anonymous. So, all right, where do we begin with this?
So let's just start with the general idea of what do you do when someone is struggling with something? Well, create an environment and an approach that's kind to them, where they can actually feel comfortable, and they do feel comfortable opening up. Being vulnerable is so difficult, especially when you have to reveal something emotional that's considered as weakness within you. Nobody wants to open up to somebody that doesn't feel safe. So create an environment and an approach that's kind, that makes the other person feel safe approaching you, opening up to you. But also want to say, and we'll get to the eating disorder part in a second, that most of the times, just by making the other person feel that you're a safe place to fall, you're a safety net, they will probably come to you and approach you. You just got to pick up on the signs. Sometimes it's not as in your face as, hey, I have an issue, can we talk about it? Sometimes it's very subtle. Sometimes it's like, hey, I'm struggling with, geez, my boss is such an asshole, or my colleagues are, trying to take over, take advantage, or my wife, sure, she's being difficult, or whatever it is. They will open up in subtle ways, and you got to pick up on those subtle signs. And the moment you do, just create, as I said, an environment that's soft. But having said all of that, just remember that if you're not sure of what to do and how to handle it, leave it to the wise professionals to take over. You know, Gareth, if you come to me and you said to me, Hanan, my car's having an issue, can you come have a look? And I get to your car and it's just the petrol light that's on, then that's easy to fix. I know what that means. But suddenly when the engine is making a funny noise, the truth is, if I tinker and start undoing the engine, I'm not a mechanic, I'm going to absolutely fuck it up. So the truth is that when it comes to human connections, it's most of the time you can kind of add support and add love and add kindness, which is wonderful. But don't tinker with something that you don't understand. And coming to eating disorders is a really, really complex issue. The basis of it is a lack of control. The person feels not in control of their internal world, which makes them want to take control of their external world. And you can add love and you can add maybe a consistent environment, but it doesn't fix their internal world. It might give them that immediate gratification, that immediate relief, knowing that you're there, but it doesn't fix that internal issue in the long run. So it's like, I guess, going to them coming to you is like going to a drug addict and you give them that line of cocaine and they feel really good, but then that didn't fix the problem. So again, if you feel that it's within your wheelhouse, and being kind is within your wheelhouse, and being caring is within your wheelhouse, and creating an environment that's a soft place to fall, go for it. But if it's within or outside of your comfort zone, leave it to the wise professionals to take over.
Yeah, that's such good advice. I think people think that they can solve everyone else's problems. They can't even solve their own in many situations. And I think it's interesting to take note of what you said before you started to explain the lack of control and the eating disorder thing, is that people don't even know how to manifest this discomfort in their lives, or this issue, this change, this uncertainty, this difficulty they're going through. Most people are they just become moody, or they just become a little bit more erratic, or they become depressed and quiet. You don't really know until you ask them. And for some of us, like, I'm not the kind of guy who wants to be solving anyone else's psychological problems. I would rather just pass them on to someone who actually knows how to deal with these things. I mean, I'm not. There's never going to be a moment where you come to me for emotional help. I think all my friends and family know that. I'm not that guy. But I will be able to identify that something's not great. And then I can say to them, hey, you know what? There's someone you should be talking to. So,
but you know what, Gareth? You know what? I want to add to that. You raised a great point, which is, to fix a problem doesn't mean making somebody feel better. So just because, and what I specifically mean by that, if somebody comes to you with an eating disorder, if you give them a big hug, it makes them feel better, no question.
Sure.
But it doesn't fix the problem. So just because you make somebody feel better doesn't mean you help them fix the underlying reason of why they're exhibiting the symptoms that they do. So just be careful of trying to make somebody feel better and assuming that you've helped them, which is wonderful. You should make people feel better, there's no question. But you should leave it to the professional to deal with the underlying issue that's causing these symptoms.
And sometimes the exact opposite of making them feel better is what is required to make them break out of that problem, right? So sometimes someone like you, who's the pro, you actually make them even more uncomfortable, and you force them to face up to some things that they're trying to avoid, which is not pleasant. They're not going to enjoy that experience. They're not going to come out of it going, oh, that was wonderful. Maybe right at the end, when you've actually solved some problems and opened up some areas of concern, then maybe they'll start. Yeah, but
there's no question.
Massively important, right? Because without a little bit of difficulty, without a challenge, without some hard work, a lot of these problems, they don't go away. And to just plaster over it and make people feel better is not going to do any good.
So two things. Number one, change doesn't happen within your comfort zone. And if you want to change some patterns, they don't happen when you're comfortable. They happen when you're uncomfortable. And to go from point A to point B requires going through what we call cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance happens when your brain goes, I'm not used to this. And it's literally a brand new environment, a brand new way of conducting myself in this world. To get to it, you got to go through it, which means you can't get, people say to me, can I make the change without going through the cognitive dissonance, without making myself feel worse? Not on planet Earth. It just doesn't work that way. In order to feel better by changing your pattern, you got to get to the other side through some really tough struggles. The other thing that I want to mention is that some psychological disorders are so complex. And I've experienced this early on in my naive years, where I saw a patient and I thought, I know how to deal with this. Meanwhile, I had no fucking clue. And what they do is they make you leave the therapy and you feel like a doormat, because they've taken your energy away, they've taken your control away, so they can feel better about themselves. And if you're not careful in terms of how to manage a complex psychological issue, you will leave feeling like you've been run over by a 10-ton truck, while they're feeling amazing about themselves, and repeating the cycle will leave you burnt out for sure.
They suck you dry. And I see you were celebrating there, where Hanan said to to get through something, to get over something, you have to go
through
through
it. Through it.
Yeah. So you were celebrating.
Absolutely.
Is that like something that Oprah would say?
You have to have an Oprah moment in any one of these, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Hanan, for that Oprah moment. But you're so right. And as well, one does have to manage their own emotions when trying to help people and trying to be the hero, because at the end of the day, you can't give what you don't have. And that I learned, I would say, a little too late according to my own timelines, but I'm glad I learned it nonetheless. It's like, actually, I need to manage myself first before I try to give anyone else anything.
Yeah,
you know
so
what,
true.
You know what's the thing is that you can't give what you don't have. That's also a little bit of an Oprah moment. We must have these Oprah sayings throughout. It's inspirational. But the truth is, though, even if you have that energy to give, I can have all the energy I want, but if Gareth comes to me with his broken engine, doesn't matter what I've got, like I cannot fix it. I cannot fix that engine if I don't know what I'm doing. So sure, self-love and self-care is incredible. It's very important, and you should set boundaries with people, because people will just take. Unconditional givers, here's an Oprah moment. Unconditional givers attract unconditional takers. That's the truth. And if you don't set boundaries, you'll be running dry. But it's not just having the energy, but certainly having the knowledge of what you're dealing with, for sure.
I could see those people coming from a mile away. I shut the gates long before. There's no giving here unless it's absolutely someone I care about. I'm not going to do that for strangers.
Another one for Sia, and it's something my mom said recently on someone who was taking advantage of their kindness. She said, "Don't mistake my kindness for stupidity." Yeah. And also, I wanted to say, I think I have quite a good example of, what might wrap this whole idea up from the email is, I had a family member who was struggling with addiction, and I certainly am not the perfect person to help someone through that. However, I took it upon myself within limits to help this person. And when they weren't open to receiving the help, and that was me taking them to a professional in the car, I had to pull away emotionally and say, if this person is not going to commit themselves, then there's nothing I can do. And it went even further to that, where I unfortunately found the person had in their apartment, and they were deceased. And it just was so important for me to make that distinction between, this is not because I didn't help or I couldn't help. This is because they didn't want the help. So you really do have to almost, put yourself outside of the situation as much as possible, and really think about passing it on to somebody else to deal with, because you need to preserve yourself in that instance.
For sure. Leigh-Ann, it happens a lot where somebody's asked us for help and we give them what we can, and then they go and hurt themselves to a lesser or a greater degree. And then we end up feeling guilty, or the person that didn't do enough in inverted commas feels guilty. It's important to do the best that you can possibly do. The great analogy that I use that at least helps me manage my life is that we wake up every morning and we've got 100 units of energy, and use it as you wish. The moment those units are up, your body goes good night, and you go to bed and you wake up the next morning with another 100. The problem is when you run out of units of energy at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and your body's not tired, but now you're running at a deficit, and then something has to give. Your mental health, your physical health, your resiliency, your ability to make choices and see opportunities. And you got to be very stingy of where you spend those units of energy. I call them coins, where you spend those coins. At the end of last year, I had somebody approach me and said to me, Hanan, this COVID thing is a government made up hoax. They're trying to inject us with this and this and that and that. And my answer to this person was, cool. because I wasn't going to invest 1 unit of energy into that shitty conversation, because that unit of energy I couldn't invest into my kids. Those 20 units of energy I can't invest into my wife. Those 20 units of energy I can't invest into my physical well-being. Those 20 units I can't invest into my mental health. So you got to be very stingy, and that's what setting boundaries are. Knowing what your limits are, not spending coins that you'd rather spend on something else. We think the great asset or the great commodity is time. Time means nothing when you've got no more units of energy. I can spend 2 hours with my kids with 0 units and achieve nothing. I can spend 3 hours with my wife with 0 units and achieve nothing. I can be at the gym for an hour with 0 units and achieve nothing. It's not the time that I have in the day. It's the energy that I have in spending and the quality that I put into those moments. So you've got to be very stingy with the coins.
Dr. Hanan, would the same principles you gave us apply in a case that isn't as extreme as what Leigh-Ann laid out? So for a lot of us in romantic relationships or with close friends or close family, as much as we understand mental well-being and how sometimes, the professionals need to take care of it, there is also this level of, I am here as your partner and I should be able to take care of you and I am everything that you need. And the fact that I can't help you, then I'm failing. And, does that make sense? Where a lot of us want to be that person. We want to help. We want to make our partners' lives better. But, we also have to accept that we can't be it all for them.
I see. I put a really cool Instagram. One of my great joys in the morning is looking through memes. I get to see everything I need to see about the world while looking at memes. And one of the great memes that I put on Instagram was these 2 puzzle pieces. You must check it out. These 2 puzzle pieces, mom and dad, 2 puzzle pieces, go to their son. Have you found someone yet? But the mom and dad are just a perfect 2 puzzle pieces, and the son is a little bit like a mess up. It's a little bit complex. And when you see that, it's actually quite interesting, because we think that we can be everything for someone. We just slot into them. And what we have to understand is that different people give us different nutrients. The tap cannot give me food, period. The tap can give me water. That's it. And if I expect food from a tap, I'm going to be disappointed. So, and the great insecurity, it's a tap's fault, exactly. Of course it's a tap's fault. It's my wife's fault, it's my kid's fault, it's my colleague's fault, it's my boss's fault, it's the government's fault. The truth is we have to realize that we cannot get everything from a person. And it's our own insecurities, because what do you mean I can't be everything for you? What do you mean you have to go and see your friend? I've got to give you what your friends give you. I've got to give you what your psychologists give you. I've got to give you what your friends give you. And we got to understand that we are limited in our resource, and you got to get something different from different people.
Guys, I've got to call this to an end because we're out of time, and Dr. Hanan's got a busy day of seeing patients. But this is how we start Mondays, and you don't want to miss episodes of this going forward. It's going to be okay, is what we're calling it. And Dr. Hanan Bushkin is here to help us every Monday with this incredible new feature. He is of course, a renowned psychologist. He is the head of the Anxiety and Trauma Clinic in Johannesburg. And it's great to have you, Dr. Hanan. We want to talk about that savior complex that you were just about to get into there. Maybe next time.
We'll do it. No problem.
That's a whole other kettle of fish we've got to unpack.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
There's Dr. Hanan Bushkin. Isn't that cool?
Awesome.
I don't know why I feel like I turn into an old church lady every time he's on, but it's
well, there are people like Sia's got to start clapping and clicking and like raising his hand. That's what we're going to do. All right. Well, when we come back, we've got a whole lot more for you, and a busy morning it is going to be on cliffcentral.com. We're going to speak to someone called Cobus Scholtz, who is an avid collector in our collector. What do we call it? Collectomania. There's collectivism. There's collectivity. There's collectionitis. This morning we're going to do Collectomania with Cobus, who is another interesting collector who I think will blow your mind this morning. There's so many bizarre and amazing things that you can collect, and it usually is bizarre and entertaining and weird people like me and Leigh-Ann and Sia who collect things as well. So we'll get to those. in the next couple of minutes. Stick around, cliffcentral.com, Monday morning. And if you've got anything you want to add in, all you have to do is send us a message live on the YouTube stream. We get that straight up on the screen in front of us. You can also WhatsApp us, 079 748 2090.
Coming up on Auto Central.
Well, I think there's two things to consider, right? There's things that you can do during ownership of the vehicle, and there's things that you can do just before you sell. But the thing that's going to really kind of save you the most money is just maintenance. Keep that maintenance up, and just make sure that you're up to date with your services, because that's, going to impact how the car drives in the future for the next owner.
Catch Auto Central, SA's #1 motoring podcast, every Monday at 9 a.m.
Do you suffer from collectivism?
So I collect pretty much anything creepy crawly.
Do you have an obsession with objects?
I've really just started loving vintage Rolex watches.
Are you a fanatic, a devotee, an aficionado?
Is it a bit over the top? Definitely. Do people walk in and go, what are you thinking? Yes.
Cliff Central dispenses a weekly dose of Collectomania. Join me as I talk to compulsive collectors. Fascinating.
He sold it to me for R1 million. That watch eventually sold for R8 million.
Possibly a little weird.
The tarantulas are definitely by far the most impressive.
Collectomania, Mondays on the Gareth Cliff Show. Brought to you by SA Gold Coin Exchange and the Scoin Shop. There we go. Camera's on. Okay, we're live. It is cliffcentral.com on a Monday morning. Still trying to figure out all the YouTube stuff. Leigh-Ann Moll's with us. Sia Sangweni's with us. And we are here to keep you company. And hopefully to keep you a little bit warm this morning too. Freezing cold June morning on cliffcentral.com. There are a couple of funny things that I want to share with you before we get into Collectomania at past. And we've got some stuff in the news that we also want to talk about. But I thought this was pretty funny. I'm sure you've seen it by now, but this bear that, like, we don't get bears in South Africa. But bears are pretty weird creatures. And I don't know where exactly this happened, but there's this woman who fought a bear, and someone sent it to me and said, this is what would happen if, like, someone threatened Leigh-Ann Moll's cats or whatever.
I saw this clip. Sure. Look, my cats have been in a situation where there was a cobra on the stoop, and my first reaction was, look out for the cat. So I really might just act in this way.
Yeah. So let me play the clip for you, and you can get an idea. Because someone said they immediately thought of you. So I thought that we've got to play it on the show then. Take a look. move. It's wild. It's absolutely
Crazy.
wild. This woman is just she's totally wet, and the bear is pushed off the wall, and she seems to be completely fearless at that moment. That's when the adrenaline strikes, and they say obviously, like a mum with her kids would do the same thing. There was a situation probably about 3 years ago, maybe 3.5, 4 years ago, where my brother and sister-in-law, they were in the Kruger Park, and a baboon started to come through the window, and her kids were in the back, and my sister-in-law actually punched this baboon in the face.
Wow.
She reached back and she punched the thing in the face, and the baboon obviously was horrified and shocked and left and kind of exited back out of the window. But this can happen, and it just shows you don't threaten a mom with her kids or a Leigh-Ann Mole with her pets, because bad things happen to you even if you're a big scary animal.
There was a story once when I was growing up in the news of a woman who'd been in a car accident with her child, and she managed to get out of the vehicle, but the child was stuck under something, and she had so much adrenaline pumping through her veins that she lifted the car and turned it over. Yeah, it's really, but also those dogs were freaking crazy, man.
Yeah, they ran up and started looking for trouble with a big bear,
and it was a mama bear too. So
they're lucky they made it. Anyway, so I thought it was especially funny because people thought that you would do something like that.
I feel like
Highly
I wouldn't
likely.
put it past her. Yeah, I definitely think you would.
Definitely.
Highly likely.
All right, so a couple of things going on in the news that I wanted us to pay attention to. We already discussed the situation in Nigeria with Twitter, which seems to be getting quite a lot of attention. Tinder, which is a whole different thing. Tinder seems to be rolling out a bit of a feature which they're going to use to help people avoid seeing their colleagues and their exes on Tinder. Sia knows all about this. You've been researching this. You know the story.
I'm the trusty Tinder. Never mind. I thought I was going to have an alliteration, but then it failed.
Trusty Tinder Tittletale. Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
the Tinder Tittletailer. So they have this new function that they're rolling out, which is about blocking contacts. Because whether you are on the app and you're trying to... you don't want to see your colleagues. You don't want to know that your colleagues are in your business and they know that you're on dating sites, then they get involved in your business.
It's funny you say that. I think there are a lot of people who do. I think there are probably some people who actually only want to go on there for the sake of gossip. And they want to go, I saw Leigh-Ann Mole's on Tinder now, and she's looking for... I've never been on these apps. I would tell you if I had. I really have not. But if I went on and I saw Sia was trying to score somebody on there, I think I'd be the next day on the show. Be like, hey, Sia, saw you on Tinder.
On the reverse, someone wouldn't want their business all out there. Or they don't want to, you don't want to be swiping, looking at some gorgeous girls, and then next thing you see Aunt Belinda on there. It's a little weird.
No, it's so true. And it's happened to me before where I was swiping and I saw a colleague, and I got such a shock because you're in this very personal, private zone. It's like watching porn. You don't expect anyone to...
anyone in the porn.
Yeah, like if your mom phones you while you're busy watching a porn, it's like a huge shock.
Oh, gosh.
Because you're in another world completely.
Also,
and that's what it was like with Tinder. I'm scrolling and I saw this colleague, and it was like I'd seen my dad. It's like, whoa.
So, listen, this is especially funny because Sia and I both also like to keep we compartmentalize. I compartmentalize everything in my life. So, there's family, there's friends, there's work colleagues, I have a category for everything. And, even if you look at the way I live, the way I organize my life around myself, everything has a place and there's a place for everything. So it would really, it would piss me off if I were on one of these apps and then I suddenly saw people from work, or if I suddenly saw another friend of mine, I'd be like, what the hell are you doing? This is not what you're meant to be.
Like
there's a category.
imagine scrolling and you're matched with Dory. It would be like, whoa!
Well,
how did that happen?
See, I brought this up specifically. Now we can sort of laugh about it. I still won't mention explicitly names, but there was one of our core team members here was on Tinder and saw one of the show hosts on Tinder, and she was like, "Oh, this is a little weird, but nah, I'm not going to do anything." But then she realized that he had swiped for her.
Oh no!
So now it's like, oh no, okay, so he kind of finds me attractive, but I don't. And you see, it makes things weird.
And it might have been a mistake, because I mean, like, you can make a mistake. You swipe the wrong way, and then you give people the wrong impression. And if it's someone at work, it makes it so uncomfortable. Hell no, thank you. Mika says, I was swiping and I saw my friend's husband on there. I eventually told her when I suspected that they broke up, but she didn't believe me. I should have taken a screenshot, but I was too shocked. Ooh.
Oh, man.
Mika, you did not see your friend's husband. Let's just say that for the sake of the friendship, you didn't see him there. So yeah, one can start to raise their eyebrows a little when you find out how Tinder's doing this. Maybe you can think that they're trying to score information out of you, but the way in which this function works is you will upload your contact lists onto Tinder, and you start to mark who exactly you would like to block, should they even be on Tinder. And if they are, then you'll never be able to see them, which I think works and is fair.
Yeah. Listen, again, if these things weren't part of everybody's everyday life, and there are people who are obviously not on them, but most people, this is where you meet people now. This is like, especially since COVID, this is the society that we live in. If you want to be with somebody, then this is the only place to go, and you need to have certain rules in order to make it work. It's like you wouldn't go, oh man, you don't go to the office to date, right? And you also don't want to see your exes. You don't want to see your exes at a place where you are going to date. That's going to make it very, very difficult. So I understand. You got to have these rules. Rules is rules.
So do you have to go in and physically think of all the people that you possibly wouldn't want to see and block them? It's almost as traumatic anyway.
Maybe you put your contact list in, and then it automatically screens those people out.
Yeah, that would be good.
Some of these apps can just take your address book, and they have, there's an algorithm which pulls all the different numbers, and then it'll keep those people out, because obviously the app knows those numbers, but you don't know necessarily.
Because I also don't necessarily want to see my tree fella or my insecticide guy.
Don't rule them out, Leigh-Ann. Maybe that could be where love is.
But what do you do in like a situation where Mika is busy with this, this swiping thing, and then she sees her friend's husband? Like, what do you do? Where do you draw the line to? Because is it any of your business to be? Do you want to be screenshotting?
I don't know what my own personal accord, but I'm definitely not telling the friend.
Really?
I'm not. I don't get involved in that shit either. I'm not going to be the source of drama. Sorry. Also, if I'm on one of these apps, then there's almost like a layer of discretion that you have to apply to yourself. Like if you're on the app, in order to make the app work for you, you can't be telling people who are not on the app about what's going on the app. It's almost like, you go out somewhere and you see someone. That doesn't mean you have to tell everybody you saw that person there. Like if you're at a bar or a club or a restaurant or whatever, and you bump into people and they're on a date, you don't go around like immediately get on your phone and like tell everybody else, hey, I just saw this person, they're on a date. I don't think that's very good. I think it's like you're breaking some rules. You're breaking some societal rules.
No, but Gareth, there's also a difference between you being single at that bar or that place or the app, and the person who's also there not being single.
So, Sia, what if this person, your friend, said to you, oh my gosh, can you believe it? I found out that my husband's been on Tinder.
Yo,
What would
then
you say then?
Then I sum up my inner Meryl Streep and go, what? They were where? No, I've learned now not to get involved. I used to.
Maybe this is just me, but I don't like getting involved in other people's drama. You know this about me. Both of you do, and most of the people who listen to the show know this about me. I don't think it's any business of mine to get involved in someone else's relationship and whatever they're going through. Like, even if they ask me, even if they invite me in and they're like, what do you think of X, Y, and Z? I'm just like, you know what? This is none of my business, because anytime you get involved and it goes wrong, it's going to be your fault as well. You're going to be pulled into it. It's suddenly your issue. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be that guy. So if there's a relationship going on and someone says to me, hey, you know, have you seen my wife or my husband out lately? And even if I have, I'm like, none of my business, dude. And even if I did see her, I'm not going to tell you. You deal with her. That's your relationship, not mine. Don't pull me into it. I'm not getting involved. Even if it's a very good friend of mine. Like, no, thank you. Don't want the drama.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not interested in other people's bullshit. Not interested.
Why, Leigh-Ann, would you?
No, I don't like to involve myself in those things either. I'm just thinking of situations where, as a friend who is supporting someone else who's going through a breakup, you know, you tend to side with them, obviously, and you know, you might say, geez, that was a really shitty thing for him to do. I'm so glad that you aren't together anymore. And then a week later, they decide they're getting back together.
And then guess what? Now they both hate you, because your friend they've told their significant other, oh, you know, Leigh-Ann said that she was really happy when we broke up. Oh, is that what she's a bitch? I've never liked her. Yeah, she is a bitch. See, you don't need to be involved in that shit. Like, stay away. So Tinder, if you go onto these apps, here's what I suggest. If you go onto these apps, then subscribe to the terms and conditions, which you have to. But in your own head, you've got your other terms and conditions. And they are, I'm not going to let this app get in the way of real friendships and real relationships. And I'm also not going to let it mix pleasure with business. I'm going to keep things professional. If I see anyone on here who I'm not meant to see on here, I'm going to be controlled enough. I'm going to be sensible enough to not turn it into a thing. And if you can't follow those rules, don't go on there. That's all there is to it. Like, come on, why must we baby people? Why must we I like the fact that these features exist, that you can filter certain people out because you might not be interested in them. You can include people and exclude people on the basis of your own personal likes and dislikes. But if you do see someone on there who, oh, that's surprising, I didn't know they were on here, don't turn it into a thing. Who the hell are you? You know, they also saw you on there, maybe. And just because they've been decent enough not to bring that up at work, then you should do the same.
I see there's a message from Andrew Green who says,
screenshots are notified to a Twitter account? What's that? No, oh, sorry. Screenshots are notified to the Tinder account holder. So if you take a screenshot of someone's profile, they actually find out about that? Really?
Oh.
Didn't know that.
Neither did I. Okay.
So no screenshots here for your personal use.
Yes.
There are ways around it. Then I'll screen record, or I'll take someone else's phone and take a photo of the actual screen. There are ways and means to get your evidence, but best believe, like, I think the biggest folder I have on my phone is of screenshots, and I screenshot 2,442 screenshots. Jeez. And I screenshot everything. You never know when you'll need this.
Of what?
Any and everything. Like this past weekend.
Really?
Past weekend, I just saw my
God, here we go. All right.
Last weekend, I saw, this was Jesus giving me this gift.
Hang on. You're breaking up. Say that again.
Yeah, sorry. This is just Jesus here. It was an ex of mine who says that they were trying to talk to me again, and then says, no, well, I'm not with so-and-so anymore. And then I was on someone's random Instagram stories and I saw my ex in the background with his ex. So I screenshot that. That's just going to sit in my phone up until he comes back again. You see, you just need everything.
Gathering evidence.
Jesus, you're like the CIA.
Receipts.
One day is one day. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else?
Corona's boring says, Gareth, you should be worried. Sia's got cameras everywhere. Yeah. Well, these days, doesn't everybody have cameras everywhere? It's very, very difficult, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's become harder to cheat in some ways. Obviously, some ways it's easier. Like if you're a cheater or you're trying to keep something a secret, you know, in the old days, everybody wasn't on phones. But obviously you didn't have the internet, so there was less opportunity to cheat. You'd actually have to go and meet people and actually know them personally. So in some ways it's got harder, in some ways it's got much, much easier. And I think that's just inevitable. I think, you know, ultimately, if you're going to go down a path of lying or keeping something secret or trying to have an affair or whatever it is, it's going to be much tougher now. You don't know what photographs you're in. You know, and you might be sitting at a little table over here in a restaurant, and then someone at a table far away from you is busy taking a selfie, and you're in the background. Next thing you know, someone got that picture. Yeah. Kyle says, and this is a good point. He's taking Hanan's point of view here and saying, Sia, spend your coins wisely. Don't waste your energy holding on to those screenshots. That is such a good point too. I love it.
Okay, that's just a revelation I learned a few minutes ago. I'll reassess my life, but for now, the screenshots stay.
Delete some of those screenshots in your 2,400 screenshots you've got on your phone. Katu Cat says, getting involved in other people's private business is not good for your mental health. Absolutely right. Now, Ronnie says, this is interesting. I discovered my sister-in-law on Tinder. I took screenshots and sent them to my brother. He didn't confront her, and the next day she confessed to having an account.
So maybe they are alerted by screenshots.
Maybe, huh? Ronnie says perhaps she had seen who'd viewed her profile, if there is such a function. But apparently, you can't see who viewed your profile. You can only see who swiped right on you if you have Tinder Gold. Tinder's privacy is actually very good. Okay. Hey, listen, I mean, again, if people are finding happiness, or they're just finding comfort, or they're just finding,
a penis?
Yeah, a penis, happiness, yeah, sure. Then good for you. Go and use the stupid app. But if you're not looking for any of that stuff, then don't be surprised if, you know, other people who are finding it see you on there if you don't want to be on there. Like, get off or get on. You can't complain about being on Tinder if you're enjoying being on Tinder. You must have it exactly your way all the time. It's ridiculous. Okay. Sia, speaking of Tinder, Sia had to witness by audio the loud sex of his neighbors. This was an afternoon. It wasn't even at night. This was during the afternoon.
Afternoon delight.
Tell us about this. This is, now we don't get into some gossip. This is exactly what Sia doesn't want to do, is have to listen to some people having sex right next door. Are these your next door neighbors, or above or below, or where are they?
They're quite far away. So in our complex, we have communal washing lines. And I had done some laundry yesterday, so I had to go to our block's washing lines to hang it up. And out of just the corner of, it was faint at first because I wasn't certain of what I was exactly hearing. And then once everything settled, I thought, these people are having the greatest sex in the middle of the day. It was about 11 a.m., almost midday yesterday. And it was just the whole thing that just was interesting to me. Not just the sex itself, but they were talking in between it. They were laughing. They had great music going. Wow, actually, good for them for having such amazing sex. It wasn't mediocre by any stretch of the imagination. It was fantastic sex. I almost wanted to knock on their door and compliment them. It was fantastic.
It sounds to me like they could have been shooting a video if they had all those elements.
Who knows? And the cherry on top is I run back to my place, and I tell my husband, I'm like, you will not believe I was at the washing line. And she says, don't say it. Were they having sex? And I said, yes. How did you know? She goes, oh, I've heard them before. So these people have a great sex life.
This is what's so interesting about communal living. Like, one of my friends told me that he actually made a recording of his neighbors, and he said that this guy who's so it's a guy and a girl, said the guy is like obviously a real like sex expert, because this woman apparently makes such a noise, and she's like, oh my god, you're the best, and she says things like that the whole time. Yes, you're so fantastic. She's like constantly complimenting him through the process, and he recorded a clip of it. It's that loud that he recorded a clip.
Oh my lord!
Yeah,
so you got to be. If you live next door to people, if you live in a complex, you are going to be heard. You think about how thin those walls are, right?
Not to be crass about it, but it was how vocal they were that was really a little startling to me. That people have quite potty mouths out here.
Some people like the dirty talk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, flip this, suck this, turn it over, pull here.
He was getting an education as well. Damn.
And there's just no way for me to even be remotely turned on, because it was just so awkward for me, because how will I ever look at them the same again?
Well, I mean, we're talking about my friend who was recording these people, and here's some interesting psychology going on. Eleutheria says maybe that guy needs a lot of affirmation, and that's why she's saying all of that. So it might not be because he's really good. It might just be that, he needs to be buttered up the right way. Sponiso is saying the same thing. Then again, women exaggerate a lot of the time to boost the man's ego. Oh, this is great.
Okay.
And then when Syrian Pikachu is saying maybe she's a working girl and she's making the person feel good. How do you like that?
Could be.
Good morning, strippers. Good morning, ladies of the night.
That's it. Come on, stop it, you strippers.
I'm greeting them.
You're not. There's always some kind of sarcasm with you and strippers. You really do hate them. It's very mean.
Okay, look, they had a very tough evening.
Oh, how do you know? How do you know? They might have had a great evening, Sia.
Sure, Gareth, okay.
The amount of nastiness that comes from you whenever we talk about strippers is just unbelievable.
Hey, and the ladies of the night who are now going home to sleep.
Mandy sent me an email the other day to say, gee, we are reeling that anyone would not tip a petrol attendant for providing you a service. Gareth, you sound like my schnorrer old uncles. How did that come up? Because I don't remember saying anything about petrol attendants. Did we talk about tipping?
Not to me.
It was a day when Michael was on.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
And how and why were we talking about petrol attendants? Yeah, I don't know. I remember that was a topic of discussion, though. And then Michael ended up also saying that, like, he locks his car even at the petrol station before going out and buying something. And we were talking about the safety of using your phone at the petrol station. Yeah.
Thank you, Mandy. I don't need to be told what to do with my money by Mandy. Who the fuck? I mean, really, like, Mandy's going to be telling me where to spend my money. I need to tip petrol attendants because Mandy tips everybody. Mandy, you go ahead. You sow your wild oats. You give all your 5 Rand coins out as much as you like, Mandy. Don't tell the rest of us what to do. I happen to tip people who deserve it. I happen to think that not everybody who's just, a car guard who's like, I was looking after your car for the whole 2.5 minutes that it took you to take the trolley back. I don't need to tip that person. I didn't ask for them to provide me a service.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Petrol station, if you fill my car up at the petrol station, I probably do tip you. I certainly tip you if you also wash the windscreen or do something else. But I'm Mandy with your don't tell me what to do with my money, Mandy. Who the hell
Oh,
do you think you are?
Mandy.
Yeah, Mandy chose a bad day. Anyway, it is time. It is time for Collectomania today, and this is one of my favorite things. We get to check out people with their crazy collections, and we're continuing our weekly dose of Collectomania this morning, talking to some compulsive collectors, and it's brought to you by the South African Gold Coin Exchange and the Scoin Shop. Now, today we're joined by Cobus Scholtz, who has collected things from as young as 14. So Cobus got the bug early on in his life. He has collections that run into millions, not necessarily in rands, but millions of collectibles. And we're talking about things from matchboxes to cigarette memorabilia. So, Cobus, how's it? Nice to see you. How are you?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Very well yourself, man. No complaints.
Very, very good. Yeah. So you started collecting at 14?
Yes. I started when I was 14 in high school and still collecting strong, eh?
So listen, let's just start off. You're not crazy, because a lot of us, I mean, I collect stuff, but you know how people are. If you've got
Yes.
millions of things in your collection, how did the bug bite in the beginning? Tell me about when you were 14 and you said, I'm going to be collecting this. And how did it all start?
Yeah, to cut a long story short, when so at the age of 14, my dad used to travel a lot for work, and then he was bringing home book matches and matchboxes and staying in hotels, eating at restaurants and those type of things. And then they all started piling up. And as they were piling up, I decided that, this is a good idea. Let's start collecting all the different ones there is. And then I contacted the Lion Match Company in South Africa. And those years, I'm from Bloemfontein. So those years, they still had an office in Bloemfontein. And then every Friday afternoon, about 2 o'clock or so, I was taking the bus all the way from home, going to town, going to their offices, and as all the reps were coming in, I was getting all the sample materials from them. And that's how the hobby started. And then so that's basically how it started. And then later on, by the early 2000s.
So, I mean, matchboxes are not the kinds of things that most, first of all, they're hard to come by now because smokers, there are a lot less matchboxes around because there are a lot less places where smokers can go. But it's a pretty strange thing to collect. Was it just because there were so many different kinds, and because, as you say, your dad would bring them home for you and you thought, well, I've got the basis of a collection here. Are you a smoker, by the way?
Yes, I am a smoker, yes.
All right, well, then these things would actually have been practically useful as well, although being a collector, you probably don't like to use the very rare ones that you've collected over the period of time that you've been collecting. Look at that.
Jeepers,
oh my God.
Creepers. Wow.
That's amazing. So, I mean, from matchboxes, look at that. From matchboxes to other tobacco products, it's not a huge leap, right? I mean, if you're collecting matches, you might as well collect lighters. If you're collecting lighters, you may as well collect interesting cigarettes. So, I mean, for people who are interested in, tobacco and tobacconists and, that kind of thing, you must be one of the most interesting people to talk to. You could probably show them stuff that most of us have never seen.
Exactly. And to be honest with you, I am in the tobacco trade as we speak. So I work for a cigarette and tobacco company also. So I also grew up in the trade. So I think that triggered a lot where it all started. And that's what it keeps me so interesting, or it keeps everything so interesting. And I love it. It's the tobacco and the new technology that comes out all these days regarding smoking, all those type of things. I love it all. And I've been in the trade for years. So I think that also steps in where I started collecting all these related items. And like you said, yes, there's stuff that you will never see in your life again.
You obviously don't want your collection catching fire because all those matches cause quite a big could cause quite a big problem. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of matches that you got there. Tell me, there is actually a matchbox collectors club in South Africa, isn't there?
There used to be one. There used to be one that closed down in 1986, and then someone contacted me about a year ago and also asked me regarding that. And I said, as far as I know, there's not one in South Africa at present. So maybe we would start up one day. And also, that being said, is these days, so what we do is or me, for example, I exchange with people from all over the world. So that's the only thing we can do now is exchanging with people from all over the world, because there's no one actively collecting in South Africa at this stage, and especially not at this magnitude.
So, Cobus, what's the most interesting thing you've got? Because you must have a few that are your favorites, right? You must have some stuff there that's pretty rare. You must have some that you're really proud of, that you treat a little better than the others. So show off a little bit. Tell us what you got.
I must say, if I look at my matchbox collection, which is actually priority number one, and the rest of the stuff that I collect only comes with as I get time as well. I have 3 matchboxes that was made in Sweden, and they are all dated in 1887. So that's pretty special to me. Yeah, 1887. Then also I have some South African stuff that's also between 1890 and 1904, 1910, those years. So, things like that. And then also there were some special prints done when it came to 9/11 in the US, which I got from friends of mine in USA, special things like that. So there's actually a lot. It's difficult to name, but those 2 top things is very, very special to me. And then you get privatized matchboxes as well, where a company will print your name on, for example, or the Gareth Cliff show, for example. Those things, because they only make like 1,000, or they only make like 100 in the world. So things like that is very, very special to me.
When you collect, do you often get these things for free from people who know that you're into this, or do you have to buy them? And how do you buy them? Do you go online? Are there auctions online? Are there sites like eBay? How do you find stuff?
So, because I was also on this media platform about 5 to 7 years ago as well, and then all my friends, all my family knows I collect. So it's actually very funny. I will get a phone call from someone that say, "Listen, Cobus, do you remember me?" I will say, "Yes, I remember you." Excuse me. And then the person will say, "Yes, for example, a family member passed away, or my grandfather passed on, and he's got X, Y, and Z, and please, don't you want to come and take a look at some rare things that we found here? You may have it." So a lot of instances, people contact me. I go and see them, or they come and see me. I normally go and see them, and then I said, "Yes, I would be interested in X, Y, Z." And they just give it to me as well. So they donate, if I can put it that way. Because putting money value is difficult.
Have you ever found really, really expensive, valuable stuff and said to them, "Hey, listen, I mean, I don't feel right about taking this," or you've just kept quiet and gone,
"Yes,
"Oh, that's nice, but..."
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. So it happened, I think, I'm thinking back now, it was about 10, 15 years ago. There was someone that came to me and said, "Listen, my grandfather passed away. Come and go through all the things." I mean, there's stuff there. I found a 1942 fridge. That fridge is actually still in my house, and my food is still in there, so it still works. So I offered the money for that. They wanted to give it for free for me. You know what I'm saying? So I said, no, I can't accept a good like this for free, or whatever the case might be. So I bought that from people, but very, very rare old stuff. Now, I think maybe some coins. I've got some old coins that dates back to the late 1800s.
Yeah.
That's basically that. But now I will never take something just keep quiet.
It's such a peculiar collection. I mean, it really is something that probably they're only, there may be 100 or 200 of the people who collect the things that you collect in the world at the level that you're collecting. Because, a lot of us say we're collectors, but we've got tiny little collections of things, and they're not particularly valuable. The amazing collection that you've amassed must be worth quite a lot of money. Is there someone that is going to take this over when you lose interest? Because otherwise your house is just going to be like one of those hoarders' houses, where someone comes in and they're like, "Oh no, throw out all this old shit," and you've collected it over a period of years and you're in love with it, and then someone's going to come along and just throw the whole thing away.
I want to tell you this one. I need to tell the nation about this one. So my sister makes a comment, okay? My sister says to me, "Cobus, the day when you are not there, what we are going to do, we are going to find a company called Rent a Tent. We're going to cover the whole premises, and we're just going to auction everything, because no one wants to go through this and no one
my
wants to
gosh.
sort everything out. So that's a common theme, mate. But on a more serious note, now I do have a son. He's young at this stage, so I'm getting him into things as well as teaching him and showing him the ropes and trying to get him into things. And then hopefully, who knows, one day he will take it over and it can stay for another 100 years in the next generation.
Is there any one thing that you've been searching for years and you can't find it? Is there one item that you would love to add to your collection and you just haven't had any luck, or it's been too expensive, or it was there 1 minute and then it was gone?
There is something that's not available. Okay?
What's that?
I guess that doesn't count, but there must be one on this planet somewhere. So that is a matchbox that was made in South Africa in 1889. Okay, so there is some catalogs floating around from all the previous collectors in the club that used to be in South Africa. So according to the catalog, there's print number 1 all the way to print number 10, and I only need that print number 2 to complete the whole set from those years. But with all the big collectors, with all the collectors in the world, I know someone might have one somewhere, but I've been searching and searching, but I'll find it, don't worry. I'll find it.
Well, listen, it's amazing to hear about your collection. I love the fact that there are people in this world who can do interesting and diverse things like collecting matchboxes. And
keeps your mind clear.
Yes?
Sorry to interrupt. It keeps your mind clear.
No, it does. It's amazing. I also think like collectors are trying to I suppose everybody's trying to run their own little museum. They're trying to keep a certain area of interest alive, and because it's something they're fascinated by and that they're passionate about, to them it's the most exciting thing. How much money do you think you've spent over the years on collecting?
My friend, I don't even want to think about it, I'm honest. I don't want to think about it. There's no ways. There's no ways. I don't want to think about it.
Because, Cobus, you have a Wendy house. You built a Wendy house specifically for all of your collection.
Yeah, so all the matchboxes is in a separate room in the house, obviously. And then the Wendy house I've put up, that's 56 squares. It's 8 by 7 meters. So, and guess what? I'm running out of space again. I'm actually running out of space. So now I don't know what I'm going to do. Everyone says to me, go and buy or get a building that is as big as a school hall with twice the height, and maybe then you will be happy one day. Because you must remember, I still have another 40 years to go, eh?
No, for sure. You've only just begun. I love it. Listen, Cobus, it's great to talk to you, and thank you very much. You also have like interesting stuff that people might want to know about. You've got Coke cans from 1989 until now. So, I mean, there's a whole collection.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously, these things can become obsessive and crazy, but it sounds to me like you and I are both on the border of being crazy and being obsessive. I like it.
But remember one thing, Gareth. Remember one thing. If everything is neat and tidy in a way, then you do not qualify as a hoarder.
That's true. The minute it gets...
That's the golden point.
That's what we have to keep telling ourselves, right? That's how we know
that
we're not...
thank you so much.
Yeah, we're not nutcases. All right, Cobus, I love it. Thank you so much, man. Nice to talk to you. Cobus Scholtz is a collector, and we're sharing his story this morning of his matchboxes, his other stuff, all his tobacco products, his Coke cans. It's once you start down the path of collecting, as Master Yoda says in Star Wars, forever will it dominate your destiny. That is exactly what.
on the flip side of this collection conversation, I was doing our one thing for the week over the weekend, throwing out things that are valuable.
Yes,
and my goodness, I even now need to redefine what valuable is to me, because I was keeping so much that I was never going to ever use again. I did tell you last week that I keep even receipts for sentimental purposes.
Crazy.
The ridiculous receipts that I kept. I kept the the receipt from the first petrol station I stopped at when I bought my car and filled up for the first time. I kept that. I thought, why?
Oh, for God's sake. You must be joking. Those are not even important. That is so ridiculous. I do want to just quickly refer to all the crazy comments we've had this morning. This is so funny. So Derek says, there used to be a Matchbox collection club. Did someone light it up? A lot of people saying, wow, this guy's collection is lit. That's from Carl. I heard the Matchbox collectors closed because the match ended. Oh, my God.
Oh, Lordy.
Yeah, Jasmine Jagger Mulholland, who was on last week. Remember Jasmine Mulholland was telling us about her collection.
With her teacups.
She says, I want a tour of this guy's house. That's what I want. So, yeah, you know what? I would love to see this. To me, there's nothing more exciting than seeing someone else in their element. Like they're in their special place. They're just loving their collection. And this is what they do. They spend their money on. This is what drives them, keeps them excited. I love it. Makes me so happy. Monica says, it's so weird. I'm almost, not totally, of course, but almost the opposite of a collector. I like to not have attachments too much. Again, that's something, a lot of people are exactly that, Monica. They don't collect things. And that's all right too. I just love collections. So I'm always going to be more predisposed to hearing from people who are as crazy as me and Cobus and Jasmine and all the other people we've had on the show so far. And by the way, if you want to share your collection with us, you can do that too. You can get hold of us by emailing me, gareth@cliffcentral.com. And if you haven't discovered your collection yet, trust me, it's going to come. I mean that for Monica, who says she's not a collector. All right, a few other things. There's some news we haven't even got to. Leigh-Ann Mull, I know you had an agenda of some stuff that you wanted to bring in this morning as well. And I hope it didn't involve you having to fight a bear off a wall or anything.
No. So last night was one of those nights where I battled to fall asleep so badly that 2:00 rolled round and I was still tossing and turning.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the worst feeling. But the actual act of getting into bed, I sometimes battle to do it because I'm so enjoying what I'm doing before I go to bed. I don't want it to stop. Like I might be watching a really cool series or, and you get to this point where you think, am I going to watch another episode? I really should go to bed. Or, you might even be working on one of your collections and you think, I need to actually go to bed. But there is something called revenge bedtime procrastination. And that's all about the fact that you so much of your day is used up with precious time for work and chores and daily activities that when you do get an hour to spend watching TikTok or YouTube or a series or, working on your collection, that you think, you know what, I'm enjoying this so much and this is my time. I'm not going to go to bed now.
You end up punishing yourself because you get less sleep.
Yeah, it also comes from being a kid and growing up and having a certain bedtime. That you now have this like rebellious, and this is 30 years on, you have this rebellious streak in you that says, oh, I don't have to go to bed at 10. I'll just carry on going until 11.
Who does this a lot is gamers, because they'll get involved in the game. And they'll be playing the game and they'll be loving it and they'll be so into it that they'll actually forget that the clock is ticking. And then before they realize it, it's like 3 a.m. and they haven't had any sleep yet and they've got to go to work the next day. But they're loving it so much and they don't want to stop. And then the game takes over their life. And the next day, they're like absolute shit. Listen, the worst is when you can't get to sleep and then you're lying in bed and you feel so crappy the next day, but you have a really busy day of meetings and having appointments and you've got responsibilities and you can't just take that day off and sleep.
No.
So it's always the hardest.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen to me today. When the sun starts coming up and your eyes want to close and you just want to get back into bed. But so a sleep expert, Dr. Vera Sen, says, for those who feel their daytime is consumed by their busy schedules, revenge bedtime procrastination is all about taking back control of their own time, even at the expense of sleep. And this is obviously increased during lockdown because of the boundaries between work and home being so blurred. And yeah, let's see how today goes. I'm feeling positively snoozy.
Well, again, you
Leigh-Ann?
don't want to make yourself available all the time either, right? There are some things you've got to draw the line and create some boundaries and say, look, I'm sorry, you can't make me work on a Sunday afternoon. You can't. If I want to work on a Sunday afternoon, that's different. But if you have office hours, let's say you work Monday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., right? That's your thing, Monday to Friday during the week. Then your weekend is for you. If you have flexible hours and you are one of those people like me or Sia or you, Leigh-Ann, who have hours that are all over the place, then you can decide, like, guys, I'm offline for the next 6 hours, but if there's anything really important, I'll get to it after that. That's what you have to be able to do.
Yeah, that is the best part about flexi hours. Is just, I work in a team. We're all in communication on various platforms, but to be able to say, I'm going to get groceries. I'll be back later, and it's no problem. Someone else will say, I'm off to go on the school run.
I feel guilt if I'm not available all the time. So if someone sends me email's different. I don't have email on my phone. But if you send me a WhatsApp and you need something actioned, that's the word they use. I action this immediately. And, I mean, it's very rare that I won't get back to you. But like last weekend while I was away and we were in the game reserve, I switched my phone off and left it in the car, and there was just no way of getting hold of me until Monday morning. Sorry. Just I can do that. I actually can draw the line.
Now,
you
guys have actually... Yeah, I can't. I'm about to break out and sweat a little just with the mere thought of it. But you guys have just reminded me of something on the topic of sleep. I'm going to confidently say, judge me only after you've tried this.
All right.
But I was gifted a pregnancy pillow a couple of days ago. Some of the best sleep I've had in my life. So it was someone who was also saying, use it. It's amazing. And I thought, this is weird. That is bizarre. Why would I? And
First
then
of all,
I've been using it.
I have so many questions.
What is a pregnancy pillow? I don't even know what that is.
So you get different variations of these pregnancy pillows, but they all understandably are used to add extra support to a pregnant woman and her belly. So yeah, they're different shapes and sizes, but the one that I have really is, I should have taken a photo of it. It's my height, and it's one long fluffy pillow. And what you can do is then contort your body around it. So on one end of it, I'm putting my whole face, and then the other, I'm wrapping my arms around it, and then the other, I can like wrap my legs around it as well. So you have like this fluffiness all around you. Oh, it is so sumptuous.
Well,
so good.
I mean, in a serious saying, it's brilliant. They're the best things. It's like having a boyfriend that doesn't snore and loves being cuddled.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one on this. I think it is top 10 the best kept secrets in our lifetime right now.
Well,
so Sia, were you giving it to someone who used to use it as a pregnant person, and now they know they're never going to be pregnant again?
No, they got it for me because they they've never even been pregnant, but they're like, look, I am getting such great sleep from this. Try it out. Here you go. And I had this past week.
Rochelle says that you bought it for yourself and you're just too shy to say.
Yeah, no, it was a gift from a friend.
How would I have known, Rochelle? But no, it's really great. I would now.
Where do you get such a thing?
I'm sure you can get anything online.
And also these stores, these mommy-to-be stores and whatnot. Yeah, I'll take a photo of it later. It looks bizarre as well because I can't like pack it anywhere. You think about your pillows, you can leave them on your bed. This thing is really super long. So it's such an eyesore. But once you use it, man, oh man. So
it's also not like the most romantic thing for when you're bringing someone home for the first time and they ask, what is that? And you're like, as a man, you're like, it's my pregnancy pillow.
I didn't think of that.
Or as a woman who's not pregnant. I mean,
Okay, don't call it a pregnancy pillow. Then just call it, my pillow for extra support.
But people don't realize how fantastic it is to have a pillow between your knees at night. And it relieves a whole lot of things like hip soreness. And I'm sorry, Gareth, but some of us get older,
Yeah. All right. Well,
and
I don't have a pregnancy pillow, but there's a part of me now that's almost a little bit jealous that I don't. I'm listening to how Sia's going crazy for this thing. I'm like, wow, it might be worth trying this thing.
Don't knock it till you've tried it.
Hey guys, it's my birthday tomorrow. If you were thinking of buying me something, pregnancy pillow.
Leigh-Ann is looking for imagine if you say to your family on like your family WhatsApp group now, hey guys, I know it's my birthday tomorrow, but I'd really like a pregnancy pillow. Can you imagine what a fire that will like? Oh my God, Leigh-Ann's pregnant. That's amazing.
Leigh-Ann, you're turning 33.
I know, I'm so excited, guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any birthday plans?
As usual, it's my mom's birthday on the same day. So I don't know. We'll probably just go over for some cake or something. We're not going to go out. It's cold, coronavirus-y, and miserable. So I don't know, some tea and cake. And when I say that, I mean cheese and wine. Something like that.
It has to be some wine. So, Sia, a lot of people are saying that you've helped them this morning with your suggestion of a pregnancy pillow. Francois says you guys should do a week-long test on that pillow and then report back. So when did you get it?
I got it on Thursday.
Okay, so you're still... All right, Sia will keep informing us of the progress that he's made with his pregnancy pillow. And Ruth says there's nothing worse than an uncomfortable pillow. Thank you, Sia. I will check online and at Baby City. Look at this. People are excited, Sia. You've given us a new thing on our shopping list. And here's something interesting, Leigh-Ann. You share your birthday with your mother, which is a rare thing. And it means that for both of you, that day is pretty special. But Monica says, I share my birthday with my mother, her sister, and her niece.
Oh, my word.
What are the chances of that?
Crazy.
That is incredible. I'm sure that's like a world record.
That just doesn't seem right. That seems like way too many people sharing the same birthday. Don't you
and
guys
all
have any
girls?
Yeah, don't you have any variety there? For heaven's sake,
And Leigh-Ann, at least you and your mother are very nice and civil about it. God bless my mother. I do think this is a bit too egotistical, but she's humbly asked, since her birthday is on the 10th of July, my sister's is on the 11th, and my niece's is on the 9th. Yeah. She has asked that for this year, that my sister and my niece tone things down a little because she's turning 60.
Oh, so it's about her. Okay, I like that. Okay.
So subsequently, actually, my niece's birthday party's moved to the week afterwards, and my sister isn't even going to do a big splash this year. But she says, 60. You know what? She's turning 60, and she needs all hands on deck for her. She needs...
Unreal.
So if you wonder where I get things from, it's her.
Oh, that's very funny. Love it.
I'm afraid that's all we got time for this morning. Pregnancy pillows and collections and some mental wellness with Dr. Hanan Bushkin, and we'll have more with you tomorrow at 6 a.m. bright and early. Have an excellent Monday and start your week on the right note. Cheers, everybody. See you later. Bye.